Language interpreter. Two Kenyan nationals detained in Tanzania following last month's disputed elections have been released after 8 days in custody. Frederick Laurent Obuya and another who wants to remain anonymous were freed without charges on Saturday and handed over to the Kenyan High Commission in Dar es Salaam. But the ordeal now reveals a darker story on what's happening across the border.
Around the 20th of October. So I was there legally. I had all my papers sorted. I knew that and the visa was expiring January next year, end of January next year. So everything was clear. During that time, I ended up going to the office multiple times, of course, without the fear. Of course, again, we didn't expect that there would be a rowdy election, as Tanzania has generally been quiet. Around the 29th, after the election, shortly after, of course, the internet went off. The place where I lived was reliant on the internet. You have a smart TV, now you can't access. The internet is off, so I can't call my family here. And third, which was rather surprising, is that you cannot call out of country. So your calls cannot come through. So I don't know what they had done to the signal, but Kenyan calls could not come through to Tanzania, and Tanzanian calls could not go out. Okay, so resultingly, then you're held in silence. While I was there in the room, all you could hear after the elections were the standard bullets, tear gas, canisters. I think we've had a lot of those here in Kenya. You know what's the difference between one and the other. I was in Dar es Salaam. I was staying within Dar es Salaam town, given the company that we work with is within Dar es Salaam, So, on the 31st, things go quiet. The bullets kind of stop. Where I am, I'm able to peep outside the gate and there isn't much. And I think, okay, fine. It doesn't seem like it's as noisy as it was yesterday. Why don't I make a move back to Kenya? At least I can continue working, I can be with my family, etc. So I find means to get to the airport and book a ticket in support with the family, to book a ticket and find my way back to Kenya. At the time, all petrol stations had been closed or shut down. There was only one petrol station that was working, which is owned by the army. And so people were not moving. Of course, having shut down all petrol stations, there isn't fuel. With the internet off, Bolt is also not working. So you're left with two options. You either take a Bajaj or a piki-piki. What we realized later is that they were arresting Bajaji and Piki riders. So I get to a place where there's a barrier. It's the army. My view is that it's the army. Of course, as you expect, the army is there to protect you. Yeah. While there are cops who are in plain clothes ask for passport. In my mind, you have every document, everything is fine. They asked to check my suitcase, everything is fine. And then they make you stand to the side. Subsequently, about an hour later, so they keep my passport for an hour. During this time, they also took my phone but handed it back. During this time, I can chat my family. I'm telling them we have a small stop by the army because there isn't much. And I have all my documents. So about an hour later, a police car comes. And that's when things escalate. And they escalated in about 5 minutes. It was very quick. They come, stop us there, stand, and then they're handed the passports. The passport here, and then the guy cocks his gun and comes to me and tells me, get into the car. So I get into the car, then puts me in a blindfold. So at that point I'm thinking,
while in the car?
Yeah, in the car. I'm thinking, am I a terrorist? Why am I being held like this. I mean, I have all my documents. I've explained myself. And by then I had already explained why I'm in Tanzania, why I'm heading out, why I'm out, and that I am heading to the airport. So they know all this. Anyway, next we're taken to a police station, during which period we asked to frog jump into the police station, which was rather interesting. And after being taken to the police station, that's when a bit of the beatings were given. So you're asked, lala kifudi-fudi, so you sleep flat. They beat you up. At that point, they're beating everyone up. You don't even understand why you're being beaten up. They take us to the CID's office. The CIDs are more than happy to see that it's a foreigner, more specifically that it's a Kenyan. So they all stop their work and come to see. And much later is when you learn that the news that had gotten to the police station was that there are Kenyans who are part of the protests who are running away. Right? That's the news that was shared back. So we tried explaining ourselves. They had our passports. They go through and realize we have no mistakes. We have no problems. So they ask us to write our statements. We write our statements. I indicate everything, why I'm there, what I'm doing. Then we head back down to the CID's office, and shortly after, we are moved between policeman to policeman. And finally, the fourth Afande opened the door to a basement, and I thought, oh my, this is it. And that happened to be the door to the police cell. So we were taken down to the cell, and that was the beginning of 8 days in that cell. During this period, they have taken our passports, they've taken our clothes, of course the suitcases, and they've taken our phones. So we're incommunicado. Yeah. You cannot say anything to anyone. Luckily, I had been able to tell my family where I was. And while we were giving the statements, they had called the office. So the office knew where I was. And that was just by sheer luck, and I thank God for that. Otherwise, we were incommunicado for the next 8 days. So, of course, the first day, I'm thinking I'm free, right? I don't have any issues. I'm supposed to be released pretty quickly. And in fact, they know I have a flight. So the first day, we start realizing pretty quickly that there are too many people in the cell first. During the count, so the cell is about 16 square meters. And during the count, we realized we were 76 people in the cell. And given Dar es Salaam's temperature, it's hot, it's boiling. Yeah? Dar es Salaam used to get to about 36 degrees at night. So it's boiling. The food that used to come, as we realized much later, was food that was brought by, so it was food that was left in the mess. Okay, so it wasn't enough. Yes, exactly. So it's called donge. So it's just enough to fit the palm of your hand, and you have that for 24 hours. You have a donge of ugali, and then you wait 24 hours to eat again. The other thing that was rather interesting is that in the cell there were people who had severe wounds, either from beatings or from gunshots. So the people who had gunshot wounds from the 29th were treated on the 4th or the 5th of the next month. So they'd sleep in the cell with gunshot wounds, and you can imagine it's hot, yeah? So the wound festers rather quickly. 2 of them still had the bullets inside the bodies, which it was devastating to see. In addition to that, we also noticed that it wasn't an attack on Kenyans, right? It was almost every nationality that borders. Yeah. So we had many Malawians, many Burundians, Ugandans in there, who had been taken for one reason or another, but majority of them were either there looking for a better life or for business. And a lot of them were for business. You know, there are people whose visa is okay, it's valid. So in your mind, you do not have any reason to.
On Sunday, after sensing that things might be a little bit tricky, I grill one of the officers. I call him Afande. Ebu, I want you to tell us kama ni vizuri ama kama ni vibaya. Tunatoka hapa lini? Vitu vyetu viko sawa, tuko na kibali, hati zetu ziko sawa. Shida ni gani? And he tells us, mambo yenu ni magumu, ipo na wakubwa. Lakini kutoka hapa labda wiki mbili hivi. And I'm like, what do you mean wiki mbili? What are we being charged with? What is our mistake? Because in my head, I know that, okay, wiki mbili how? Because tomorrow now it's on Sunday. Tomorrow is on Monday. So in my head, I knew on Monday, we are definitely going to be presented in court. Our charges will be read to us. If we are being bailed out, we are being bailed out. But now it turns out that we might not even make it to the courts. So after he says, mpo hapa for labda wiki mbili hivi, I did not want to listen to him again. I just stepped back, went and climbed where I was sleeping, put my head down. That's the first time that I cried. We stayed in the, first I stayed in the hotel for 2 nights, and then we stayed in the cells for 8 nights. We were in the cells for 8 days, so to say. So for 7 days, we were at Oyster Bay, and then for one of the days, we were in a different cell. Now that is where everything got worse. Because immediately we got into that cell, it's crowded. There's a 13-year-old, there's a 16-year-old. There is no water in the cell. The toilets are stinking. You step on the floor and it's sticky. Ni kama uji, ni kama unakanyaga uji. That is where you are supposed to sleep. There are bed bugs. You can literally see bed bugs. Everything is in chaos. And that is when I think I told John, it's either when we go, because we were going to immigration on the next day. So I told John that if we go to immigration, it's either we go home now on Friday. We go home, or we sleep at immigration, or they just kill us, if that is what they want. So the previous day, the embassy had sent people. Apparently, there had been a lot of tensions online, and the embassy had sent representatives whom we had had a meeting with the head of immigration, and we were assured that our release would be secured the next day.
Well, tonight, a regional